do some of these work are very low interest loans. It's sad to see some of these big old houses with the roofs failing because it's just one step to them being torn down, unfortunately. But there's not much we can do with that. Our homeowners are a real broad spectrum of people. We deal with a lot of senior citizens. This year we've had a whole slew of 90-plus-year-old women that we've worked on their homes. These really resilient and vibrant women that are just keep on going. Absolutely amazing people with amazing stories. We work with a lot of families with young children, multi-generational families. We're finding that there's also a lot of families where the grandparents are actually raising the children. This is seems to be very common. And also a big group of our homeowners are people that have medical challenges, from cancer right on diabetes. And a lot of them have, been very prosperous over the years and done well for themselves, but they just got hit hard and had a bunch of bad luck. And they're struggling and living on disability, which is not a lot of money. So it's really hard to see folks in these situations. Our volunteers, they walk many roads. We tap into a lot of college students over at Dartmouth College, there's also a lot of businesses in the area that have community service, like Hypertherm, who actually supply. They have 4 volunteer days that they can come out and are paid. And there's King Arthur Flower, Kendall. So we have relationships with a whole bunch of businesses that will send volunteers out for the day, and they're actually paid for it. We have a great core of retired gentlemen that come out on a regular basis. There's sort of a lot of them have some experience, and it's great to have them out. And they don't work Saturdays, but they're more than willing to come out on a Tuesday and help us out. So we have one fellow that was a manager over at Timken, and he's almost a full-time volunteer. Comes out 2 or 3 times a week, and just amazing having that. High school students, we encourage them to come out every spring. We have the Hanover High School come out build a ramp with us with the week. And our projects last anywhere from just a couple hours to put a grab bar up, all the way to 7 days to do some major renovations on that. So some of these groups come out for a full week, some of them just come out for a day. Referrals, we've been around for a while, so it's word of mouth. We have a lot of medical organizations that refer us, visiting nurses. We just got one from Efficiency Vermont. A lot of the local energy commissions refer stuff. So there's a wide variety of people that refer us. As far as actually coming out, the application process is very simple. You can either do it online, or you can come in and fill it out. So if anybody that you feel can use our services, they can go online and fill out that application. What we do is an initial vetting of the applications, and then we set up a site visit and do a full assessment and see how we can help the person, and then put it on a schedule and then schedule a project. So as far as sort of our core program today was our weatherization program. And as I said, we use volunteers for this. And we deal mostly with the air infiltration. If we find that the house needs insulation, or some of the community action groups haven't been there, we will refer those. But we do the simple stuff, sort of what Mike was talking about, stuff that's volunteer friendly. We work on a lot of mobile homes and framed homes. Windows is one of the key things for leaks. A lot of homes will go into and actually find a lot of these older vinyl windows that the homeowner was complaining about a draft on their back, and all the windows are open about an inch. So that's the first line of attack, is go and close all the windows. And if a lot of these people are really does a nice job of sealing things up. We do some window replacement if it's sort of a key egress window and the window's unusable or broken or something. So, but otherwise, we try to steer away from it. It's a rather high expense that we'd rather spend our money elsewhere. Doors, we install door gaskets, sweeps, and occasionally we will replace a door, a main entry door if it's in really bad shape and unoperable. But we've gotten pretty good at repairing doors and getting it going for another few years. One thing we find a lot of in going down basements is broken cellar windows. And people, it's amazing people aren't even aware of this. We walked into a cellar just recently and there are 2 giant panes broken. And it's just that all that cold air blowing into that. So we'll replace that window or fix that window. Bulkhead doors, the same thing, just wide open to the weather. And we'll either repair that or build an interior door for that, insulated door for that and seal that up. Heating ducts and registers, especially in mobile homes, what we find is a lot of the registers actually drop down as things settle, and all that warm air is just blowing underneath that belly. So very simple process. It probably takes 45 minutes to go through with mastic tape and seal those up. And then also in framed house with conventional system, if the ductwork is leaky, we can go through and seal all the ductwork up. Then again, it's all relative to, with that, as far as what basements are like. Sometimes we don't want to ask the volunteers to go down some of these basements where they're just completely full of stuff, so we're unable to do it. So attic hatches are also a big thing that needs to be sealed off. We also add a lot of insulation to those, a lot of air gap in those. So it's general air sealing, any gaps and holes in there, hot water heaters, putting blankets on those, and insulation. When we're also in the home, we also make sure that there are smokes and CO detectors. Install LED light bulbs, vapor barriers, and one of the key things with our weatherization program is that we incorporate the blower door in that, and it's a great learning tool, and it's a great tool to find all the air leaks. So what we do is at the beginning of the day, we have volunteers set it up, we take the reading, and put people to work finding where the leaks are. So it's a really great educational thing on building science and the dynamics of building. And everybody sits around it then and see what the great work they've done that day and see what the reading is. And we average about 700 CFMs per house, which is actually quite a big energy savings. Challenges, we have way more need than we're able to meet over a home repair and weatherization. With our staff, we're only able to meet about 70% of that. And these are all very needed households. It's really, really, really hard during these people. But we get done what we can.
So we have a few minutes for questions. I mean, the idea here is like, we want to spark some, what can I do? How can I help the people that are hit hardest by energy prices in my community? And so we've got this service here for multifamily buildings. Renters, obviously, a lot of times hit the hardest. We have this kind of really creative, hey, how can we engage college students within our area? Helping otherwise. And then we have a volunteer opportunity. This is somewhat limited to the Upper Valley region, broadly speaking. How might we engage as an energy committee, raising volunteers, identifying people in our communities that need it, so kind of similar to the Winter Blitz. So open your questions up. We have a few minutes, so take some hands. I see one there, 2, and then 3. Go ahead.
This is for John Heath. I heard about cover home repair a year or 2 ago and started to wonder, well, what would it take to replicate this somewhere else in Vermont or spread it across Vermont? That's a question that would probably take more than a couple of sentences right now, but if you could say a little bit about that, I'd be thrilled to hear it.
It's a conversation we've definitely had, and we get requests from it, especially from some of these organizations. You know, go down to Bellows Falls, go up to Barry. Finance is the big part of it. We're really hard pressed in a very lean operation. It wouldn't take as much to do the sort of the telescope program because we have the infrastructure in White River. So, you know, a small office and a truck could probably do it, but it would be an investment.
Oh, so satellites would be pretty easy to do.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, right here.
Yeah, I wanted to know if you're testing it all for lead paint.
We don't test for it. We definitely, as a builder over there, so I recognize where it is, but no, we don't do that testing for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other comment that I'd like to make is high schools many high schools have clubs, the Interact Club, which is part of Rotary.
Yeah.
And those kids are always looking for volunteer opportunities. They would probably hook right in.
Yeah, we're always trying to tap into whatever source.
It says, hold on, so did you mark the one? There was the third person I called in over there, okay. So hold on a second, just one, and I saw some other hands, 2, 3, 4, okay, go ahead.
How are these programs doing according to your customers?
Repeat that. Repeat the
How are
question.
your programs doing according to your customers?
We do a survey when we finish the project. Don't get all the surveys back, but we've gotten really, really good responses. You know, we've gotten very good feedback on all that. So.
Scott.
We have two.
Could you tell us a little bit, whoops, sorry. You're not done.
No, it's all right. Were you asking all of us?
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, again, we're still putting things in place, but we've done phone calls with homeowners after the fact this year and have gotten great responses. So we're really excited to hear that and excited to incorporate the suggestions that they have into future winter blizzards.
Can you talk about a bad experience, just since, for the sake of it? I mean, surely something's gone wrong once.
Yeah.
Twice.
No, never. Yeah, we get stories. Fortunately, nothing, knock on wood, has gone really upside down, but we have heard stories where students show up and they're allergic to cats and they have 12 cats in the house. Or they're doing a grow operation a few years ago, and that throws our students off. So those have been the challenges that we come back, that students come back with afterwards and to problem solve. Or as I mentioned, sometimes our training has not been substantial enough and they get there, they've done the hands-on training in the morning, and they get there, and then they're like, what? And then our co-directors are just like Grand Central Station, like with the phones, and that's not good. We can't do that.
Okay, go ahead, what's your question, Mike?
Do
Go ahead.
we let him answer?
Well,
On the lead paint?
no, on the feedback from customers. So our customers are sort of the owners of the buildings, even though we're working really to make these buildings more affordable for the people who are living there. And we've gotten really good response. And many times, I point you to our website. We have a great video that just got put up recently about that building that I mentioned, the Mayo building, that 4-story brick building. And the guy loved us. He should have loved us too. But I'll tell you one story about a building that didn't go so well. That was another large building. I think it was 30 apartments. This was a building that we put in all exhaust, exhaust fan ventilation. So we tried to meet the ventilation standards using exhaust fans only. And after the work was done, the work included replacing boilers and air sealing and insulating the cellar and air sealing and insulating the attic. The energy usage was higher because of exhaust fans. We figured out that the fans had not been programmed properly, and that made a huge difference. It was not a huge saver anyway, but that was one of our lessons about ventilation.
So we have to keep moving. So
Could you tell us, give us some hints about identifying and enthusing building owners to participate in the program?
Oh gosh, well, we've done some sessions with Paul and with Efficiency Vermont, just explaining what we have to offer to owners of buildings, local committees, local energy committees, and that sort of organization have sponsored these kinds of meetings, and that's helped a lot. We've done some mailings, and you know, and these kinds of events like we're doing today. So, yeah, we're always looking for more projects, because these projects take such a long time to do. I mean, it's a multi-year process typically, and we have room in our budget this coming year and really in 2019 that we're looking at.
So if you're interested in the workshops, the kind of rental property owner workshops, you know, feel free to talk to myself or Scott. I want to promise, but you know, that's something we can arrange. We often have some lawyer in here somewhere with DCSU, you know, the Vermont State employees. We have basically resources, financial and technical resources in the room, and then we offer an opportunity for property owners to interact. But the idea is local people saying, hey, John, you own property, come to this workshop. That's what we need. You know, that's the value of the local connection. You have those relationships, you can get people in the room. That's often the hardest challenge. So, right here, please.
Yeah, this is for everybody. Do you typically wait for the need to kind of come to you, or do you have strategies for finding the need in your communities? And then for somebody who's interested in going out and engaging the community and finding individuals who could benefit from these services, what advice do you have for that?
Yeah, I mean, we're posting flyers all over the place saying if you can't do this yourself, get in touch with us. But then we're also partnering with the entities that are already there, working with our chaplain's office at the college and other low-income organizations, and saying, you have that relationship with your clients, we're happy to provide the service, can you help us get the word out? So, yeah, what was the second part of your question?
Just advice on how to get people, specifically low-income people, excited and engaged in services.
Yeah, we pay for the supplies, so we say it's free, and so that also helps. And I think students doing that, you know, part of the training that we're trying to do with our students is the door-to-door work. It's not just a poster in a Stop and Shop. It's going to homes and knocking on the doors and being face to face and making the pitch in your 20-second spiel. That's some of the work that we do with college students.
We do a lot of our work with referrals and word of mouth. I'm working in mobile home parks. We're there with our trucks. Neighbor sees it, so that's sort of an effect on that. As far as engaging people, what a lot of our work comes from is actually the home repair side of it. So there's actually critical needs, and then we'll refer to our weatherization program. So we get into the homes first, but a lot of it's through the referrals for specific things.
Well, I think I answered. I kind of answered that question.
So we have really, I mean, I'll let you go, but it's 12 o'clock, lunch is starting soon, so we can stay a little bit longer, or those who want to stay, it's kind of your call, but why don't we take one more question and then you can kind of get a pulse. Go ahead.
I'm actually from Thetford Energy Committee. We had a program for organization, and we ran the problem. We had volunteers and all that, but the insurance was a big problem. We raised funds and all that. Do you have anything to say about insurance coverage, how you do, or what can we do about it?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so it's having the energy committee being insured, and it sounds like your town doesn't want to take on that liability.
Yeah.
And we've actually had several requests if people could come and join us, but there's always a fine line. I mean, if the homeowner wants to come to us and apply, and we can use your volunteers, we can work it that way. And I don't know what community you come from, but it sounds like it's an issue because we've been approached on several.
Yeah, I am actually from Thetford. We had to.
Oh, yes.
We decided to return money to people who gave because we couldn't afford the insurance.
Yes, so if you want to work through our organization, we can partner up with that, and we've had, as I said, several requests with that. So we would do an assessment and have the homeowner go through us as far as the application, and then we would bring your volunteers out and do the work. So
And you will cover the insurance.
and then their insurance would be covered.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Mike, is that relevant for you? Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't have insurance.
Yeah, we recently put in place liability waivers, but the college covers that. College covers it on the student side, and we ask the homeowners to sign the waiver.
All right, so, okay, last question. One more question? What do you think? All right.
Paul, lunch actually begins right now too, so if people want to go on to the next thing, they should do that too.
Yeah, lunch. Right.
It begins now, yeah.
I had a question for Mike and John, too, actually. Do you engage in any tenant behavior or resident behavior education when you're on site? And also, have you done any follow-up with your volunteers to see if they're going and weatherizing their own homes?
Good question. We do some of that education on the front end. It's not just the skills based, it's how do you go into a home and be respectful and a respectful visitor. We can continue strengthening that, but I'm excited that we do include that. And the second part of your question?
Well, it was the tenants themselves, the residents. Do you engage in any behavior or education with them?
We a little bit. We leave one-pagers with them about, hey, this is what we're doing, this is why we've done it, but it's something that we can strengthen.
And then the second part was, do you follow up with your volunteers to see if they weatherize or do any activities in their own homes?
We don't currently, we will though.
So I just need to call it because people are walking out. I want to thank our panelists, so thank you so much. Go ahead. Thank you.
Sorry.